So I feel as though, in a way, we have just basically talked ourselves into a space where the whole thing's illegitimate. And I've often said it's illegitimate. The court is illegitimate. That is illegitimate. But it feels as though when you lay it out like that it was created by slavers and those who supported them, that it was based on preserving white supremacy, that the legal structures that were erected to interpret and sustain the Constitution are also infused with white supremacist principles, as evidenced by who occupies them and the way that they interpret the law and the way that they engage with the law. And we realize that even today, the efforts and the pathways for amending, ameliorating, adjusting, repealing, correcting this record are so locked into the clutches of people who continue to benefit from white supremacist legal interpretation. What the hell are we doing? Like, what are we doing here? I have often said, we gotta go. But Elie, I don't have nowhere to take all the Black people, and that would allow us to go there and not be colonizers. So, I mean, what are we doing here, particularly in light of the fact that we now have an exponential increase in people who are willing to take up arms, take up training, storm capitals, take over elections. They're doing it both with violent means, and they're quietly assuming these positions of authority that will basically allow them to run this nation the way they have run it for the past several hundred years, and in such a way that, frankly, most of us aren't even clear. It's like a big curtain between us and the other side of civic engagement and civic involvement. That is by design. For the 340 some odd years before the passage of the Voting Rights Act, we were intentionally excluded from gaining the experiential knowledge about how to run this daggone thing. What are we doing here?
Yeah, so that's the sad question, right? Because I don't have a great answer for it, right? Like, as you say, it's not just that I don't have any place that I can think of to go. It's that the places that I can think of to go, they don't want me, and they don't want all my friends, right? My wife's from Zimbabwe, and we've been, and it's not like I walk off the plane, I am home in the motherland, and they're like, listen, American, would you like to buy something that you were too stupid to know is right? Like, so that's my experience when I go to the motherland. Look, I try to think of that when I try to find hope, which is really what you're asking me, right? I try to think about it from the perspective of like Frederick Douglass, right? Like 1847, Frederick Douglass, gets his ass out of Maryland, is learning to read by himself because it's illegal for him to learn how to read. He's learning what this country is, and he doesn't give up hope. He doesn't give up hope. He has to work with some of like the worst white people available and some of the best white people available, which are still racist as white people. Like, Abraham Lincoln, pretty racist, great man, pretty racist. But he finds generous. Abraham Lincoln's like, there's a white man, there's a racist white man I can work with, right? Thaddeus Stevens, like, legitimately, I think, wasn't racist, right? There's a white man I can work with. John Bingham, who actually wrote the 14th Amendment, there's a white man that I can work with. He found allies. He was a race. Frederick Douglass uplifted his race, and from the perspective of like Frederick Douglass in 1850, it looked way worse than it looks to us right now, right? Hell, from the perspective of Frederick Douglass in 1859, it probably looked way worse. Wait, we finally elected this decent white man president, and these crazy people about to go to war. Damn, right? Like, I can imagine him thinking that. And they did go to war, and like, I bet it looked real, in 1861 when the Union is getting its butt whooped all up and down the peninsula. I bet from the perspective of Frederick Douglass, he was like, man, this doesn't look so good, right? But he kept fighting. He kept pushing the rock. He kept pushing the rock. He kept going to the well. He kept the faith. And I think about that. I think about Thurgood. I think about Cheryl Eiffel right now out there. Like, we have so many people who have seen things perhaps even bleaker than we see things right now, and they never stop fighting. And so we have to never stop fighting, because the downside of leaving is that it cedes the argument to these people, and I'd rather not cede that argument, right? Like, I'm from Long Island, and dang it, I'm gonna fight for Long Island. Right? I'm gonna fight for my version of Long Island over these crazy people, right? So that's where I try to get the hope, try to at least keep the faith. But I do think we're things do not look good from right now today, right?
Yeah.
And it might have to get worse. Right. It might, one of the only other pieces of hope that I have is that, Republicans are about to get everything they want. Republicans are about to get everything they want. They're about to get rid of abortion rights. They're about to get even more gun rights. They're about to get rid of affirmative action. They're about to get rid of environmental regulations. And as sometimes the worst thing that you can give to a person is everything they ask for. And I think that as Republicans get everything they want and more people don't like it, realize that living in a Republican Christian theocracy is kind of trash. Yeah, they might be more interested in fighting for it. And that's a big reason why I wrote the book. Right. And again, as you mentioned, like, it's in plain English. I didn't write the book for conservatives. I'm not trying to change a conservative mind. Those people are gone. Right. I'm not going to reach them. I'm trying to reach liberals. I'm trying to reach Democrats. I'm trying to say, stop ceding this ground. Stop agreeing with these people. Fight these people. Because I believe that if people understood the law, and again, that's why I took the jargon out of it and try to meet people where they are. I don't dumb it down. People are smart. I don't have to dumb it down. Right. I just tried to explain it well, because I believe that if people understood it like I understood it, they'd be as angry as I am, and they'd be as willing to fight for it as I'm willing to fight for it.
I always like to remind people that Frederick Douglass whooped his master's ass. I think that is a fundamental phase of his development that helped him to be that fighter. Sometimes you got to whoop a master's ass. That's just how it is. Ashe and amen. So say the ancestors. So I think that is a phenomenal transition point, not trying to convince conservatives, talking to the people and telling them the truth. We have a significant portion of our audience that is not Black on these airwaves. What do you say to one of my friends calls them the righteous white? What do you say to the righteous righteous, not necessarily allies, but people who are very uncomfortable at the Thanksgiving table, people who are trying to do their good deed a day to make this world a better place and less racist, a little less sexist, a little less white supremacist? What do you say to them about their duty, their obligation to pick up this fight?
Yeah, so I always say, look, you got to be, what I need from an ally is for you to be me in the rooms where I ain't invited. Right, because your cousin ain't listening to me. They ain't tuning into me. They're not but they're gonna listen to you. You're gonna be invited over to the Thanksgiving dinner or to the baby shower or to the game, right? And then they're gonna say something stupid, and you're gonna know that it's stupid, and you have to do what I would do in that situation if you want to be an ally. And that is to call out the stupidity and try to change a mind. Again, I'll go back to my book. That's one of the things that I do in the book, is to try to give people arguments that they can use and deploy in real time. I have a whole chapter on the Second Amendment, and it's really about my chapter on the Second Amendment is not telling people anything new. It's I knew it, at least, right? But it's because the Second Amendment is something that conservatives always bring up. They always harp on as like this thing, right? And a lot of liberals don't know how to fight the conservative Second Amendment argument. I know how to fight it, and I try to tell people in the book, this is how you fight them. When they say this, you say that. When they say that, you say this. Same on the abortion argument. They're going to say X, Y, and Z. And when you hear that, that's your jumping off point to say, A, B, C, and go have that fight. That's what I want from my white allies, to go out. I'm hard on my white friends. I really like them. They'll text me.
It's hard to be a white friend of a person like you, Elie. I'm imagining your white friends. They got to put in work. They got to eat they blackies. I was going to say.
They'll say something. They'll say, Elie, I'm at the school board meeting and it's just going real bad right now. I'll be like, you got to go in there and you got to make it happen, bro.
Be the me that I cannot be in that space.
Right.
He is Elie Mystal, author of Allow Me to Retort, a Black guy's guide to the Constitution. And my private subtitle is Because the Constitution and all of the extenuating institutions around it that support it, they're all a pack of trash. Elie, how do people follow you? How can they get your book, which is literally everywhere? I just want to say, I love it when authors read their book in their own words. You do a great job. It's hilarious, and it is so enjoyable. How do people get their hands on it, and how can they follow you and stay connected?
Oh, thank you so much. The book should be everywhere books are sold. The audio book is on Audible. It's number 12 on the New York Times bestseller list, so I'm very excited about that. Otherwise, I'm at Elie NYC. That's ELIE NYC on Twitter, and I write twice a week for thenation.com.
He is Elie Mystal. Y'all go get the book, and we might need to make that an option for our book club. We have an active book club here that we are pushing on the Lurie Daniel Favors Show. That may have to be on the selection list, y'all. It is that good. Elie Mystal, it has been a real pleasure having you here today. Best of luck to you, and keep spreading the word. It's trash. We need a sanitation system for this thing.
Thank you so much for having me.